What's up guys, welcome to the channel, and in today's video we are going to discuss the student management system exercise, and this was the fifth exercise of this Python playlist. And for the people who are watching this video and haven't accessed the playlist, the link is in the description. So I'll give you a short overview of what we had to do in this exercise. So basically in this exercise we had to ask the user first of all that do you want to access the information of Lewis, he's a student, and then Simon or Vic. And for example, if the user enters one of them, then we have to ask him that do you want to add content or do you want to read content. And if the user enters one of them, then you have to ask that do you want to access his food file or his study file. And according to that, the program will fetch the food file and the study file of Lewis, Simon or Vic, but it depends. And the program will then ask the user to enter something if he has chosen to add content, or if the user chose to read content, the program will just read content in the file. And after the user has added content, the program should also print successfully logged. So we had to make 6 files right here. One is food Simon, then study Simon, food Lewis, study Lewis, food Vic, study Vic. So I know that I have raised the difficulty level in this exercise, and guys, if I don't raise the difficulty level, then things will be really easy for you. So I guess that this was a perfect exercise right now. And in this exercise, I'm going to use try and except statements, then I'm going to handle some errors, I'm going to use if and else conditionals, and most importantly file IO basics. So what I'm going to do right now is that right now I'll program the code, and after programming the code we'll go to the question video, and if I see any comments I'll give shoutouts accordingly. So guys, starting this program, I'm going to run a while loop. Now most of the people will be confused that why are you running a while loop. Guys, I don't want the program to terminate. I want it to keep me asking that do you want the data for Lewis, do you want the data for Simon, or do you want the data for Vic. And it should keep me asking that. So for that purpose I'm going to run a while loop. So I'm going to write while true, and after that I'm going to ask the user, that is I'll make a variable right here and I'll name it as choice. And after that I'll take an input, that is int input, and I'll write enter 1 for Lewis, 2 for Simon, and 3 for Vic. And so whatever the user enters will be inputted into choice, and this will be in an integer form. So after that I'm going to write an if statement, that is if choice is equal to 1, then the user should do that. But after we have asked the user that you should enter 1 for Lewis, 2 for Simon, and 3 for Vic, we are asking the user to add content or read content. So guys, if I write it in the if and elif statements, first of all I'll make the elif statement as well, that is elif choice is equal to 2 and elif choice is equal to 3, and then I'll have an else statement. So guys, as you can see that I've made an if and else ladder right here, that if choice is equal to 1, that is for Lewis, this should happen. If choice is 2, this should happen. If choice is 3, this should happen. So as you can see guys, that after asking this, we are asking the user that do you want to add content or do you want to read content. So I won't write it inside the if and elif statement, I'll write it outside of it. Why? Because guys, as you can see, if I write it inside it, it will be the same thing. So if you want to make the code bigger, you can write it inside the if and elif statement, but I'm just going to write it right here and I'll make a new variable. So I hope that you guys understood that why I'm not writing inside the if and elif statement, because then I'll have to write the same thing here and here as well. So instead of that, I'll just make a variable outside the if and elif statement. So I'll make a variable and I'll name it as quest, and after that I'll put int input and I'll write enter 1 for adding content, 2 for reading content. And after this, as you can see, I've made a quest variable that takes in the integer input. And after that we are asking the user that do you want to access the food file or study file. But before that guys, we'll have to open the files, right? That is food Simon, study Simon, food Lewis, study Lewis, food Vic and study Vic. So we'll have to open those files, and most importantly we'll have to make those files right here. Now I don't want to make those files by my own. I want the program to make those files, and for that we have a mode named as X. Guys, if you haven't watched my file basics video, the link will be in the description for the playlist, so you can go on that video and you can check it out, where I have talked about the X mode, and in that mode a file will be created if it is not present. So we are going to use that mode, and right now I'm going to define a function. And why am I defining a function? Guys, I'm defining a function that will open the file and also that it will append the content to it. So what I'm going to write is that I'm going to write def append, and I'll name this function as append, and this takes two arguments, that is file name, that is the name of the file, and after that it is going to take another parameter, that is data. So data, and now I'm going to use try and except statements. Now guys, why am I using try and except statements? For example, as you can see guys right here, if I write f is equal to open, and after that I'll write file name and then the .txt, so I'll write .txt, and after that the data, no, I'll write the append mode, and after that if I write f dot write data, and if I close the file, and that is really important. So guys, as you can see right here, what I've done is that I've opened the file in append mode, but for example if the file is not present in my directory, this will give me an error. I'll write here, this will give me an error. Why? Because the file is not present in my directory. So for that purpose I'm going to use try and except statements. That is, try this statement, but if it does not work, make a file inside the directory and then write the data into it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write try and try this statement, but if it does not work, open the file in X mode. So I'm going to write file and then the .txt extension, that's really important, and after that I'll put an X right here. So as you can see, I've done this, and after that we are going to write the data. So this is the case right here, that is, we have used try and except statements, and whatever this append function will do is that it will open that file, it will write that data, and it will close that file. That's all it will do. And after that what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to make a read file. Now as you can see guys right here, that we are giving two options to the user, that is to add content and to read content. So we have made the function in which the user will add content, and now we'll make the function in which the user will read content. So I'll write def read content, and after that I'll provide a file name to it. So the same thing, that is, it will try to open the file, that is, I'll write f is equal to open file name plus txt dot txt comma r, that is, it will try to open the file in reading mode, but if it fails to do that, it should not give you an error, and it should open the file name .txt in X mode. And guys, most of the people will get confused here, is that if they open the file in X mode, they think that they can again open the file in X mode and they can write the data. No guys, the X mode is only used when the file is not present in your directory. If your file is present in the directory and then if you use the X mode, this will give an error. So that's why I've written it inside the except statement, or else I could have used this statement right here globally. That is, I won't have to use the try and except, but no, we are going to write it inside the except statement. And after this try and except statement, I'm going to print the data that's in the file, that is f.read. And as you can see guys, that we have printed everything that's inside the file. So we have done this, and after that we'll close the file. So I'll write f.close, and we have completed our read content function as well. So now what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to complete these conditionals. So now we have written that if choice is equal to 1, and we have asked the user that do you want to enter or do you want to read content, and now we are going to ask the user that do you want to access the food file or do you want to access the study file. So now I'll write that if the user wants to add content, that is if quest is equal to 1, and after that I will ask the user that do you want to open the food file or do you want to open the study file. So now I'll write uh, choice 2. I'll make another variable choice 2, and after that I'll take input do you want to access the food file or study file, and I'll write 1 for food file. I'll put a backslash n, and after that I'll put a backslash n right here as well. So as you can see guys that we have asked the user that do you want to access the food file or do you want to access the study file, and I'll put a colon here as well just to make the code a bit cleaner. And after that I'm going to make a if else statement right here as well. So this will be based on the choice 2, that does the user want to access the food file, and based on that we'll open the files, that is we'll use the append function. So I'm going to write if choice 2 is equal to 1, then what the program has to do is that it has to take data from the user. So I'll write input, enter the data, and after that the program has to take another statement, that is an elif statement, and if choice is equal to 2, the program will take data, enter the data. As you can see guys that year and year our code has been reused again, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut this and I'll add it right here. So I don't want the code to be reused again and again inside if and elif statements. So that's why I take the input outside the two conditionals. So now I'm going to write that if choice is equal to 1, what the program has to do is that it has to use the append function. So append, the user wants to access the food file. So I'm going to write food underscore Lewis. That is this is for Lewis right here. As you can see I'm writing it inside the if conditional where choice is equal to 1. So I'm going to write food Lewis, and after that I'm going to provide the data, and similarly I'm going to write append, and then I will write study Lewis, and then I'm going to write data. And after we have appended we had to print that the data has been successfully logged. So I'm going to print it right here. I'm going to print successfully logged the data, logged the data. So as you can see guys that we have written that as well, and we have basically completed the if conditional where the user wants to add the data. Now we are completing the case in which the user wants to read the data, that is he wants to read the content in the file. So what I'm going to write is that now I'm going to write an elif statement, that is elif quest is equal to 2, and I'll also write an else statement right here, and I'll put print please enter correct input values. So I'll write please enter correct input values, and I'll put an exclamation mark here, and after that I'm going to put an choice 2 statement right here, and I'll put int input, int input, and then I'll put do you want to access the food file or do you want to access the study file. And after that I'll just ask the user that do you want to access this file or that file. And again guys we have reused the code right here, so I don't really like reusing the code, and we'll solve this after we have written this program. Right now just bear with it. So after this, what I'm going to do is that if choice 2 is equal to 1, then it has to read content, and then we'll have to provide the file name. So it will be food underscore Lewis, and after that it is going to be choice 2 is equal to 2, and I'll read content of study Lewis. So study underscore Lewis. And as you can see guys, that we have written our program right here, and I'll also have to print the else statement. That is, if it is not 1 or 2, the program has to print please enter correct input values. And now I'll write an else statement for this if and else ladder, the quest if and else ladder. So I'll print the same thing right here, that is print enter correct input values. And guys, we have basically completed 1/3 of our program right here. The case in which the user wants to access the data for Lewis, we have completed Lewis's data. That is, if the user wants to add content, then the program will go into this file. If the user wants to read content, then the program will go into this file, else it will go into this file. So I hope that you guys understood this code. If you have any doubts, you can write that down in the comment section below without any nervousness or anxiety. I know guys, many people don't write their comments because they feel afraid that will people know my weakness. So no guys, I'm here for you. I'll help you in every way, and you just have to write your comment down if you have any doubts. So please feel free to share your views with me and interact with me guys, please. So as you can see guys, that we had reused our code right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut this, the choice 2 statement, and after that I'll add it outside the if statement. So I'll ask the user right here that do you want to access the food file or study file. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this whole bit till choice is equal to 1 till choice 2. So I'm going to copy this and I'll write it inside the elif statements. So we are asking for Simon, and after that we have asked for Vic. But now you just have to do small changes. That is, you have to change the food Lewis to food Vic. So I'm going to write food Vic, and after that study Vic, then food Vic, and then study Vic. And similarly for our choice is equal to 2, we have to write Simon right here. So Simon, and then this is Simon. So guys, we have completed our program right here. I'm just going to cut these extra lines, and I'm going to make a space right here so that the code looks fresh and readable. And after that I have to complete this else statement right here so that it does not show me an error. So I'm going to write please enter correct input values, and I'll put a C right here. Okay. So guys, we have basically completed our program. Now I'll run it and I'll check it if it's working fine or not. So I've run it, and as you can see that it is asking me to enter 1 for Lewis, 2 for Simon, 3 for Vic. Now I'll enter 1, and after that it is asking me that do you want to add content or read content, and it has not printed a new line character right here, so we'll fix that. So I'll write 1 to add content. Now it has asked me that do you want to access the food file or study file, then I'll enter 2. So I want to access the study file, and I'll write that Lewis has read about mathematics chapter 2, that is geometry. So I'm going to write geometry, and then I'll print, and then I'll press on enter. So as you can see guys, that our program has successfully logged the data. Now what I'm going to do is that now I'll go back to Lewis's file. That is, I'll press 1, and this time I want to read the content. So I'm going to press 2, and after that I want to access this study file. So I hope that it shows the same thing right here. So I'll press 2, and as you can see guys, that it has shown me mathematics chapter 2 geometry, the thing that we entered right here, and our program works perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to put a new line character right here after reading the file, and after that I'm going to print a new line character right here as well, because the code looks a bit messy. So right now I'm basically just testing out the program, and I'll add more content into the Lewis file. So I'm going to write one into the study file, and now I'll check that is my program appending to the file or is it overwriting. So now I'll add general science chapter 2 or chapter 3, and if I press on enter, as you can see it has successfully logged. Now I'll check the data in Lewis's file. So as you can see guys that it has appended the content, but it hasn't printed a new line character afterwards. So I'll have to solve this problem right here. I'll stop this program, and after that what I'm going to do is that first of all I'll have to append it with a \n. So I will write data plus new line character, and after that I'm going to print a new line character before it as well. So I'm going to write new line character right here, and after that I'm going to go right here and I'm going to put a new line character right here as well. So I'll put it right here. And guys, using the PyCharm ID's multi-cursor functionality, what I can do is that I can press on Alt, and after that, wherever I want my cursor, I will just tap on it. And you just have to hold the Alt button. Holding the Alt button. I think so our program is completed right here. And if I rerun this program, and now if I enter 2 for Simon, and if I want to add content, and I'll want to add content in his food file, so I'll write salad with tomato. I know it's a bit weird, so I'll enter it. So it has successfully logged the data, and after that I'll enter 2 for Simon. I want to add content. I want to add content to its food file, and then I will write pasta with cheese, or I'll write with butter, and after that I'll enter it, and as you can see that it has successfully logged the data. Now I'm going to read Simon's file, so I'll enter 2 for reading, and after that I will read its food file. So here goes nothing. Ooh, as you can see, it has successfully entered everything inside Simon's file with a new line character as well. So guys, I'm really excited, and I'm really happy that our program is working out for us. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a file for Vic as well. So I'm going to write one for adding content, and after that I will add content in the study file. So I'll write science chapter 5, and it has successfully logged it. Then I'm going to add more content into Vic. I will add content into its food file. I will write rice with sauce, and after that I will go into Vic's file, and I will add more content. I'll add content into its food file, and after that I will add caramel chocolate, and then I'll access Simon's study file. So I will access his study file, and as you can see that it has given me a error right here. So as you can see guys that the error right here, it is showing me in the 108 line. So I will go to that line, and after that it is telling me that the error is in this line. So we invoke the read content function. So I'll go there, and the program will go inside this. So it will try to open the file, but the file is not present, so it will go inside this, and after that it will attempt to read it. So I will put a try and except statement right here as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to print f.read inside this try statement, and if it does not print anything, it has to print a null character, that is it won't print anything. So I will write no data inside this file, because the file has just been created, so there will be no data inside this file, right? And if the file is present, there will be some data in this file. So I hope that you guys understood how we are going to handle this error. And now if I run this program and I wanted to access Simon's food file, so I will write 2, and I will write 2 for reading content, and 1. So it has told me everything that he has eaten. So I actually had to access Simon's study file. So I'll write 2, and after that I have to read content, and I'll write 2. So as you can see guys, that it hasn't printed anything, and that's what we expected, not to print anything because the file has not been created first of all. And after that what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to access Lewis's study file. So I'm going to write 2 for reading content, and after that I'll access his study file. Oops, I had entered something, so I'm going to access his food file. And as you can see guys, that it has printed no data inside this file, and that's what we expected. I basically had to add a new line character right here as well, and our program works perfectly fine right now. I think so this program is amazing for your GitHub repository as well. You can add it to your GitHub, and if you don't know how you can add it to your GitHub, just write that down in the comment section below. I'm happy to help you. So this is a really good program in which you can show it to your interviewers and also use it for yourself. And I hope guys that you understood every bit of this program. You know why we used functions, why we used try and except statements, then why we ran this for loop. As you can see that the program keeps on asking me that do you want to access the information for Lewis, Simon or Vic. So that's why I chose to run a while loop, and then how we use the if and else statements in order to get the data for different files. And I hope that you guys understood everything about this program. If you have any doubts, you can comment that down. I'm repeating it again and again, and I cannot stop reiterating it. So I hope that you guys understood this exercise. And also guys, that if you want to use it for your personal studies, you can do this, because if you want to log that how many times you ate and what chapters did you study, this is an amazing exercise. And guys, I wanted to do one small modification in this exercise, is that I wanted the exercise to log the data. So now logging means that you are logging the data, that is you are adding the data inside the file with the timestamp. So now how are we going to get the timestamp? Now there's a module named as the datetime module. So I'm going to write module named as datetime. And what this module does is that it shows you the time where you are right now. So if I use datetime.datetime.now, this function right here, the now function, it shows me the time right now. So I'm going to define a function right here, and I'm going to write time now. I'm going to name this, and after that I'm going to import the datetime module, and this just returns, and this function basically returns the time right now. So I'm going to write datetime.now, and after that I'm going to append the file with the timestamp. So I'll write plus, and after that str, and then time now, and I'll put a space in between them. So I'll put a space in between them, and after that if I rerun this program again, and if I access Simon's study file, that is I want to add content, and after that I want to access Simon's study file, and now I'll enter general sciences chapter 5 or chapter 19, and if I press on enter, it has successfully logged the data. So now what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to read Simon's file, and I'll access this study file. So as you can see guys, that it has appended our data with the timestamp. So that's a really good functionality that the datetime module gives us, that is it gives the current date and time, and this is how you can log the data. This was just a small modification that you can make in your file. You just have to run this function, and you have to append the data with the timestamp. So I hope that you guys understood this bit as well. We are going to talk about the datetime module, and we are going to explore it in the upcoming videos. And for the people who have an access my Python for Absolute Beginners playlist, the link is in the description. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you're safe, and I'll see you next time.